So, welcome back to the Flower Files, where we plant stories and grow conversations. Today's guest is someone many of you probably already know and admire. Sarah Campbell is the creative force behind Intrigue Designs and has built this huge reputation for pushing the boundaries of floral artistry while staying deeply connected to the heart of our industry in flowers in general, from those breathtaking installations that are just mind numbing, and large scale events and television appearances, educational opportunities, which are truly inspirational all over the world. Sarah has created this incredible dream career that blends creativity, entrepreneurship, and some real down to earth humanity behind it. What I appreciate most about her journey is that it reminds us success in flowers isn't just about designing beautiful arrangements. It's about taking risks, embracing opportunities, staying curious, and continually evolving as your business builds. Today, I will ask her questions about her journey, what life has been like since appearing on the Big Flower Fight, and how did you get there? The realities of traveling and teaching across the country, the story behind just how she has accomplished so much. I want to dive into what continues to inspire and excite her in general, the floral industry and in life in general, and where does she see the floral design heading? So whether you're a florist, flower farmer, flower enthusiast, creative entrepreneur, or someone who just loves flowers and the stories behind them, I think you're going to take a lot away from this conversation. So we're going to jump in, and the little girl part of me is so jumping up and down right now because this is one of those moments where I stepped outside of my comfort zone to see if she would say yes, and she did, and she's here today. So can't wait to share this episode with you.
In life, we get stuck with thinking we need to edit our thoughts and clean everything up, especially
Yes.
with social media. But
Yes.
it's really okay.
It is okay, and it makes us human. I loved your post that you recently did that was I hate social media because
Mm,
it has changed so many things about life, our industry, the floral industry. I mean, there's so many things that it has just completely shifted. So I saw that and I was like, thank you.
and it's funny, like a year ago, I would have said I loved it.
Yeah.
But there's been so many shifts in the last year that small business owners, like, we can't keep up with this.
No.
Like, I have a full marketing team behind me, and we struggle to keep up on it. What if you're a one person business and you've got to process the flowers, order the flowers, meet with the clients, design the flowers, clean up the flowers,
Yes.
and be in charge of trends and content? Like, that's a
Yes.
lot. It's a lot.
Yes. It is a lot, and it's overwhelming, it's frustrating. And just when you think you have it figured out, they shift it again.
Yes.
It's like, okay,
Oh,
okay. And
no.
I would love your perspective on, do you think that social media has made the floral industry less creative in a way?
Oh, absolutely not. Social media has pushed our creative envelope. It has opened up our eyes of what's being done, what can be done.
Uh-huh.
For that, I am grateful for social media because I don't know how long you've been in business, but I've been in business almost 2 decades. And,
Wow.
people would come in with cutouts from magazines, and it was little snippets. You didn't see the whole event, you didn't see the energy, the
Picture.
personality.
Yes.
Now you get to see it and experience it. Not only that, you can follow the trail and look at the creative and small business owners that helped create these incredible events. So I say for the the floral world, social media has been great.
I think there's so many times where I look at some things that people have posted. I'm like, I want to know how they did those mechanics. Like, how did they get that to work? Because this is how I think it would be done. How would other people have approached that? So I think that has been, I feel like the cross collaboration has changed because you can ask those questions a little bit differently. And
And if you asked those questions just 10 years ago, people would have been offended that you asked them how they made something.
really,
Oh, 100%. When I first started, you know, sharing online and teaching both in person and online, there was a lot of frustration and pushback within the floral industry
Mm-hmm.
that, these things are for our industry. They're not for the general public.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I kept pushing through because it felt right. And even to this day, I teach workshops that are almost $4,000 to attend. And I teach hands-on these luxury mechanics and structures and designs, but I also share it on social media. I'm sharing the mechanics, I'm sharing the details right on Instagram. And where people think, like, if you share something, no one's ever going to buy it from you, that is not the case. It's
No,
not. If
no.
that was the case, no one should be coming to my workshops ever. But when you're in person, when you're real, when you're there, like absorbing that energy and understanding and
Yes.
seeing that connection, it is completely different than just watching an Instagram post that is 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
Right.
Days together gives you so much more than seconds.
And I think when you're in the moment and when you're with someone and you're working with them and you see something that could potentially be a mistake, or you're like, okay, listen, this didn't work correctly, you can literally real time course correct and be like, maybe you pinch the wire this direction instead of this direction, and that'll hold the stem differently and it won't spin. Like there's so many little details, and
So many.
we started in 2017. So we haven't been, in the industry quite as long as you have from that design perspective. But there's definitely been things that we've struggled with and had to research. Somebody comes and, as you said, with their whole feel, they want this whole perspective. And Pinterest has been fantastic because then I can see from invitations all the way through what their vision is. And I love that. But there's definitely been times where we'll do a styled shoot or something like that. And it's a space to practice and be able to screw up and say, wow, I wouldn't ever do it that way again. And your workshops, I feel, have definitely lent themselves to that ability to, like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to show you what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's huge because there
The
has been
greatest
so much gatekeeping.
Oh, there absolutely has been. The greatest part about the production that we do when we host these hands-on, especially with the Intrigue Across America tour,
Mm-hmm.
with these workshops, we set it up like it's a real wedding. So there is that pressure. There is a time we have to be done. There is real models, or not real brides, real models, real photographers waiting in the wings, real planners making changes, telling us when they don't like something, need something redirected. You get all that real life pressure without the fear of screwing up someone's real life wedding.
Yes.
And I think that is a big part that has had designers really, growing and exceeding as part of these events, is because they got to be there in the pressure and got to see it's okay. You can make a mistake, you can shift it, you can adjust it. It can rain 10 minutes before you're supposed to start the ceremony, and you can still pull off a beautiful event.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many little things. There's so many times where I'll talk to someone who has this beautiful vision and they want all of these things. And I'm like, that's great. Your event is outside. Let's talk about the reality of how that will work because you're on the water and there's wind, not to mention weather. I feel like weather is the ultimate leveler in everything because you never know when it's
Especially in
coming.
our part of the country, people don't think of Maryland as a hot, humid state, but we are on the Eastern Shore. Actually, I
We
don't
are
think it's much
thick.
different on the Western Shore, but on the Eastern Shore, we're surrounded by all these waterways. And I've had friends come up from New Orleans, from Florida, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is hotter here."
That makes me feel a little better because there's some days where I'm like, you want tulips in July. First of all, sourcing that is not going to happen. Secondly, you're gonna melt.
Yep, they're gonna melt.
It's crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, so I totally jumped the gun because I have like lists of questions here. I would love to dial back just a tiny little bit. I'd love to know, Sarah, how did you get started in the floral world?
Ooh, so I started as a planner.
Hmm.
Um, I launched my planning firm when nobody would hire me, and I just did it on a whim. I'd watched a show. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the show, but I'd watched a show on TLC, a wedding planner show, and the wedding planner was terrible. And I really wanted to be a wedding planner. I'm like, if that's the best, she's on TV, she's got to be the best.
Right.
If that's the best in this industry, I can totally do this. So the next day, I launched my planning firm, and I figured it out as I was going. And then a few years in, I got the opportunity to launch the floral part of my business. And when I launched floral, I knew that was the thing. That was it. Because as a planner, I was a terrible planner. I didn't care. I didn't care if anyone was on time, if they had any food, like what the directions were. I just cared how pretty the space was. Only I started as a budget planner, which meant the spaces weren't even that pretty because I had folding chairs. I was at the Elks Lodge and the bingo halls and the church
Yes.
basement. And these weddings were not my dream weddings. But as I got into flowers, I was able to see that, a small percentage hire a planner, a large percentage hire a florist. So that helped really expand my business, expand my revenue, and I loved it. To this day, like I open a wholesale box of flowers and my whole chest is like excited. I
Yeah.
may have opened the same box 1,000 times, and
Yeah.
every time it's like, it's just
Yeah, it's like,
wonderful.
ooh. I feel that from the field perspective, where we have spring, we have early spring, late spring, summer, later summer, fall, and then we get creative through the winter. And it's like, ooh, look, we got the first whatever it is. And it's still that little kid, like, look, we grew it and it's here.
Look, I grew these.
Oh, congratulations. Look at you go. Nicely done. Nicely done.
I
Everybody
am
loves
I
cosmos.
I am a I'm a better florist than I am a gardener. I will definitely say that. In fact, this year I'm so annoyed with all the vegetables in the garden. I'm like, I'm gonna quit vegetables. I'm just growing flowers
Yes.
because they give me more fun,
Yes. And vegetables, everything wants to eat a vegetable. It's so crazy.
right? And I
No.
can just go to the farm stands. Clayton Farms is right there. I don't need to grow my own.
See, that's all you need. That's funny. So you started off as a planner. You realized flowers were so much more fun. How did you, what was your aha moment when you were like, you know what, I'm a florist and this is my profession? Was there a key moment for you that you were like, this is it?
Well, there's two answers. There's one answer I can give you because it's what everyone wants to hear. Then there's the answer that is the real answer. The money was so much better. It was easier to make money. I enjoyed it, and it was consistent. Where planning revenue wasn't as consistent, I made more bigger chunks of money as a planner than I did profit margin as a florist. But there was regular repeat florist clients, and I saw it as a financial opportunity. And I say that with a little bit of hesitation because, in the flower world, there's so many people that believe you should do this because you love it and don't do it for the money. But why can't you do it for both?
No, I was going to say, why can't you do it for both?
Yeah.
I mean, you still want groceries on your table. It doesn't have to.
Yeah. And I want more than just groceries.
Yeah. I'm good groceries. So you got involved in flowers. You obviously did them very well. And to circle back to your comment of, well, she must be really good because she's on TV. Everybody knows you were on the big flower fight.
I
How
was.
did you end up there? What is the story behind that? How did you go from, hey, I'm going to do flowers to now I'm on TV?
All right. Well, you have to be in the right place at the right time. And I have always said, like, when you're in the right place and the right time. And I had come off, it was 2018. I had done our first national tour. So I'd been doing weddings and workshops for a couple of years at that point. And then we did a national tour in collaboration with Style Shoots Across America where we hosted workshops the plan was all 50 states. We only made it to 42 states, but I still say that's a win.
That's more than I've done, so come on.
And that year was craziness. I still had, full-time weddings, and these weren't small weddings I was doing. I was doing, $20,000, $40,000, $100,000 weddings. I had closed my warehouse and I had moved everything back to my home on the Eastern Shore,
Wow.
which I moved all the furniture out of the house, had the full garage. We've got about a little over an acre here. So the first floor had no furniture whatsoever. Everything was done out of here. But at the same time, I was touring the U.S. teaching these workshops. So the schedule went on Sunday night, we packed up and we flew out to a new city. On Monday and Tuesday, we taught workshops. On Tuesday, flowers also, wholesale flowers, shipped back to my home studio where I had a team processing and prepping. On Wednesday, we flew back to Maryland. And then on Thursday and Friday, we designed. Saturday, we installed. Sunday, we got up and we flew to a new city and did it all again. So I was doing that for about a year. Um, by the way, I did almost quit my entire career that year. It was
Yeah.
not recommended.
Yeah.
Like not
I
like
was going to say that sounds
oh, it was a
exhausting.
lot. Plus, I'm an hour from the airport. Like it was not easy. But anyway, so when that tour ended, you know, I still had a ton of weddings that were booked into 2019. And I promised my assistant at the time, because she had traveled with me, I said, we are going to take 3 months off. And we
Hmm.
literally put it in the schedule. And we scheduled off some of the peak months. We scheduled August, September, October off, not taking any events,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
like unheard of in the wedding industry, right?
Yeah. Especially October.
Especially October. So we anyway, so we had that time booked off. We were still working. At the same time, as I was also doing like podcasts and speaking engagements and, you know, showcase kind of designs,
Right.
and made a lot of great connections. The casting director was trying to find someone they were trying to find an American wedding florist or American florist in general that was available in August, September, October to film.
Wow. Wow.
And so so it was kind of the right place at the right time.
Hmm.
When I actually got the call, I think first an Instagram DM came through, which I don't respond to a DM that says, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you. Can you give me a call?" Like,
Right.
yeah, no.
You're like, yeah, that's spam.
So DM came in, I think an email came in, and then my phone started lighting up. So many of the connections I had made over the years in the floral industry, when they talked to this casting director, they said, I'm not available. You need to call Sarah Campbell, because
Wow.
they
That
knew
gives
what
me
we
the
were doing.
chills.
They didn't know we had 3 months off. And so that was kind of how it happened. I talked to the casting director. You know, Sue Davis at Fresh Designs out of Philly was one of the people that had sent my name in. Yvonne over at Mayesh had told them to call me. I can't remember
Wow.
everyone else who told them to call me. But finally, I took the call, and they wanted me to find another florist to work with me. And so I started calling all of my flower friends. And I wanted to see like who could come with me, but nobody is available
No, not for that chunk of
August
time.
or October, like zero people. So, you know, one of my friends that was great had just had a baby. That didn't work. You know, most of my flower friends have families and have other
Hmm.
commitments, not only to their clients, but to their families. So then my assistant, Jordan, who appeared with me on the show,
Hmm.
she actually reached out directly to casting and she pitched herself to join me. Now, she has no floral experience. She came to me straight out of college, uh, and they jumped at it. Now,
Wow.
Jordan had been with me on the entire 2018 tour. She'd done wedding after wedding with me.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh yeah, this will work great. But I forgot
Uh-oh.
that Jordan doesn't do flowers when she's working with me. She
Mm.
may sweep some floors and lift some buckets, but she's on the back end. She's, you know, making sure we have the printouts of the recipe, making sure that
Hmm.
everybody's where they need to be, making the
She's the
confirmations, checking
coordinator.
the trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing the logistics. So we get there on the very first day, and I don't remember if this showed up, but I think there was a moment that I'm looking at Jordan on the first episode of the show, and she's telling me she doesn't know how to do something, and I'm like, what do you mean? I think it was cutting chicken wire. And she's like, how do I cut this?
What
And I looked at her in complete shock. I'm like,
do you
you just
mean?
cut it. But I realized then, like, I was going to have to teach her. And so every single week on the big flower fight, you didn't see it, but I was teaching a solo workshop to Jordan, teaching her how to do the
Wow.
things we were about to do, which takes a big part of your energy.
Yeah.
And I would 100% do this show again with Jordan, but I would teach her a lot more things before we got there next time.
Wow. And that never came across. That never, ever, ever came across. You guys work together so well.
Oh, good. I'm glad I did it. I'm
Yeah.
glad it
Yeah. No, that never came across. I mean, I what did that entire process teach you? Because if you've been teaching, 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 and you've been doing all of these things, and now suddenly you have all of these other professionals around you, and there's all of this, I don't want to say pressure because you're already used to pressure if you're in the floral
Oh, it was
industry.
different. It was different pressure.
Very
It was
different.
much different pressure.
Very
And I was
different.
doing something I didn't know how to do. So I'm trying to teach Jordan how to do things that I don't really know how to do either.
You're like, we're gonna wing it like this.
Like the first episode, we had these giant flower bugs. Was it a bug? I think
I
it was a
remember the
bug.
bugs.
Yeah, and there's metal pieces and and welding and like I'm used to some kind of things, but I don't need to make things look like what they really are.
Yeah.
In floristry, it's kind of abstract and natural
Yes.
and whimsical.
Yes.
But on the big flower fight, like they expected, I told them I was going to make a beetle. They expected a beetle.
Yeah. And you didn't mean a VW.
That would have been hard too.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. No, it was very, very that was a moment for us where I was like, wow, flowers don't have to be just things in a vase. There's so much more behind the scenes and there's so much more that you can do. And it was for all of us, it was incredibly inspirational. So
Thank you.
it was
Well, I
awesome.
think that part really helped me, where I know some of the more traditional florists that were there. I love them. They didn't last as long on the show. And I think it had a lot to do with they're used to doing things in a traditional way. They were taught a traditional way, which was more an analytical way of thinking about flowers. But on the other hand, I had learned and created these processes to do big, large scale designs on you working with small teams, limited support,
Yes.
everything I teach now. So I went into that having that skill set. And even though it was creating things that were different and not what I was expecting, I thought we were going to do wedding designs. I didn't know we were going to be making big garden sculptures, working with plants and pots. Like,
You're like, what is
I see
this?
little plastic pots with plants in it, and I get a little anxious.
This episode of the Flower Files is made possible by our sponsors. Bob Bell Chevrolet, helping Maryland drivers stay safe on the road with dependable vehicles and exceptional customer service. Ivingo Creative, providing branding, website design, and marketing solutions that help small businesses tell their story and grow with confidence. And the Tax Chick Pro, helping entrepreneurs, farmers, and small business owners navigate taxes, bookkeeping, and financial planning with less stress and more clarity. We are grateful for their support of the Flower Files and our growing community of flower lovers, gardeners, farmers, and small business owners. So you have toured all over the world. I mean, just even in setting up this interview and communicating back and forth with Jordan, well, she's not in the country right now. How, first of all, I don't know how you keep it up. Like, I can't imagine the incredible training ground and all of the teaching that you've been able to gather from people because of all the things you've been exposed to. How do you do it? How do you teach people? Where did that come from in you?
Oh, I don't even know how to answer this. No one's ever asked me this question. Uh, well, I think when you come to anything with a heart for gratitude and a heart for giving, then it's just natural. So I naturally have been one to share. I naturally have been one that, if someone else is hungry, that I'm going to help them.
Right.
That is just kind of to the core of who I am. And I tend to attract people that are very similar,
Mm-hmm.
which means you're with people that are always fueling you as opposed to draining you.
Yes.
So I think that was part of it, me just wanting to be around these people that encourage and uplift and so I think that that's a big part, and I think that's part of how I'm able to keep going. And also, I get messages multiple times a week
Mm,
from designers all across the world, mostly here in the US, but all across the world,
mm,
telling me of the success they have had,
mm.
telling me of what they learned, telling me like of this big event. One of my favorite stories, it's happened multiple times now, but my favorite stories is the very first person to ever send me a DM. It's actually, she sent me a text message,
Mm.
and the text message had a picture. And the picture was of a check for $36,000.
Mm.
I think I could be wrong on the dollar amount. It was a lot of money,
Hmm.
and it might have been
In
60
flowers. Let's put that in perspective.
in
In
flowers. Yeah,
flowers.
it was
Yeah.
either 36 or 60,000, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
And she said, "This is just the deposit."
Mm. Yeah.
That, like,
Again,
that was
chills.
so incredible. Chills.
Chills.
Like, I could not believe it. Like,
Yeah.
I knew people had had a lot of success, but this team, it was a team of two that signed up for a workshop. It was a Houston workshop, and they had attended one workshop. They'd only done a handful of weddings,
Hmm.
and they were able to shift their mindset through what they had learned to pitch this incredible five-figure wedding
That's amazing.
in
That's
flowers, just flowers.
amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I think there's so many different levels. As you said, when you first start, you kind of start with that, like the Elks Lodge and the fire halls and all of those spaces to kind of get comfortable. And then once you get a little more comfortable and you kind of take a step and you take a step and you take a step, you have that first wedding they sign and it's, oh my God, we're doing a $15,000 wedding this weekend. And everybody's like, wow. And then it just kind of, it just
It's
continues to
building.
creep. Yeah. And then I don't know about you, but there's definitely days where I sit down and I go, holy crap, like somebody just spent the cost of a car with me for flowers.
Right?
Like, like what
It's
is happening?
it's amazing.
It is.
It's truly amazing. And there, I kind of say, and I think we both said we moved away from those Elks Lodge and those bingo
Mhm.
hall weddings, but there are people that do really, really well in that lane.
Yes.
And I think that's great. Like if you do well in that lane, that's amazing. But that
Yes.
wasn't the lane where I thrived.
Right.
I thrived and I was inspired with these large scale big events with tablescapes dressed perfectly in linens and the right chargers and the right details and the right light. That's where I get excited. So that's the lane that I chose, and that's the lane where I teach and I encourage people because it's the only thing I really know. Well, I know a few things, but it's the only thing I know
I was
well
going to
enough
say, wait a
that
minute.
the only thing I know well enough that I know I can share and encourage and give people the information so they can do and get to that same place.
Right. Right. You're helping lift them. You're helping transform them realistically. I mean, what do you think are some of the things that hold florists back when they first come to you? What are some of the things that people are concerned about?
I would say fear.
Hmm.
Fear of not being able to do it, fear of taking on too much.
Hmm.
Those
Balance.
are those are some of the main reasons people come to the workshops is they know those events are out there, but they're just afraid if they can do it.
Hmm.
And what we do is we break down the steps, and I teach the steps that I have been doing in my business for years and years, which are simple, easy to follow, and you don't have to have a trained florist to do these things. I make it so simple.
Hmm.
You look at these large scale installations and it looks complicated, but when you break these into minute steps, it is easy and repeatable. So if you can't get 20 trained florists on a Saturday, you can get 20 people to come and help you and teach them the same basic steps that I gave them during this luxury workshop, and you'll be able to bang it out and make it look like it was all professionals there.
Yeah. Yeah. I what I hear you say is you give them the confidence
Hmm.
and the space to practice. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I can't imagine. Yikes. Yikes, yikes. So, when you travel across the world at this point, what are some of the flower things, or flower and florist? Because I feel like they're intertwined, obviously. What are some of the things that you see that are different in some of the different spaces? I would think the design process may be similar in some aspects, different in others, and I'm sure the perspective of flowers is different. So I think I just asked you 10 questions all at the same time.
Well, let me start with one of the biggest differences, which is going to be sound so simple, but the names of the flowers are not the same all over the world.
Really?
Yes. So I learned this on Big Flower Fight because I would be looking for a specific flower, and people would look at me like they had no idea what I was talking about. But a lot of times in Europe, they will call a flower by its Latin name.
Ah, interesting.
So that was very interesting. That and the mechanics are a little bit different. Oasis Floral Products is all over the world,
Hmm.
but they don't sell the exact same things all over the world. So when I was looking for tools that I was used to in the US, I didn't bring any tools over to England when we were filming, but I was looking for tools that I was used to and I couldn't get them. One of the things was the adhesive. I'm used to using this wonderful tube of adhesive. It's kind of brownish gold, amber color. I'm sure we all
Hmm.
use it.
Hmm.
What they have in the UK, I don't know if they've gotten the other adhesive, but what they had in the UK at the time was this clear adhesive that did not work the same.
Oh.
So I was trying to learn, at the same time trying to figure out what I was doing with these big giant structures. I was also trying to learn how to use new mechanics in
Wow.
in a way that was going to work for me. So I think that's the biggest difference between the US and the international florists. The other big difference is thought process. So, what I've heard from a number of people outside the US is that the floral community in the US is empowering and encouraging and connected and is a true community. While, particularly in the UK and some of the other areas, they are still more buttoned up, still more keep to themselves.
Hmm.
I think that is starting to change. And whenever someone asks me about this, I say, not every part of the floral community is encouraging, uplifting, inspiring, but the intrigue community most definitely is. And
Yeah.
we're slowly taking over.
That sounds like a great thing to do. That sounds like a fantastic perspective. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, you were recently, I believe, you were overseas and you were at, tell me about where you just were, like last week, if you can.
Where I was last week.
Weren't you at a flower show? Like you were looking at flowers? That's dumb because all you do is look at flowers. I'm sorry.
Um, okay, so last week I actually was in burnout mode and I did
Okay.
nothing but sat in my garden and sat in the pool. And the social media posts that went up were just re-shared social media posts. I was so burnt out last week.
You know how good it is to hear you
Previously,
say that? Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I think people so often think, wow, it's flowers, it's pretty, it's fun, and you must have the best job ever. And it's like, dude, I'm fried. I'm
fried.
so tired. And it's not that I'm tired of the flowers, it's the constant go. It's run, run, run. And it's exhausting.
It's
Thank you for
exhausting.
that. Thank
you
you.
know, in any world, but particularly the flower world, we do get burnt out, and we've got to take that reset time.
Yes.
So you were actually the first interview I have done, the first conversation I've had coming out of my burnout.
Excellent. So I'm going
But
to relive
previous to
you.
the burnout, I was actually over in England and the Netherlands. So
Mm.
we went to England for the Chelsea and Bloom show, which is incredible. And I just might be there again next year. It was really just an incredible show, incredible artists, and seeing what I saw there, and I met up with a number of my Big Flower Fight friends, but seeing the work that they do in England, it is very sculptural. And
Interesting.
they're making giant dragons and tigers and aliens and space heroes
Hmm.
out of flowers. No wonder the teams from the UK did so great. They knew this process. But it was really interesting and something I don't think we see very often here in the US.
Yeah.
So that was really, really interesting. And then after that, I zipped over to the Netherlands to do some site visits, some recon for our November retreat, which tickets for that went on sale immediately after I got back from the Netherlands. That was another busy couple of weeks. And we sold out, I believe, in 33 minutes. So it was a
Wow.
job well done.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. What what do you do during that time? I understand it's a retreat, but what do you do for that?
Oh, these retreats are amazing. So we did our first international retreat last year, and we brought everyone to Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And we knew that we wanted to go to Netherlands as our next stop. So
Mhm.
what happens, and we do pretty much the same thing. We're working on our 2027 retreat already. We do the same thing, just like the workshops, how you have the same process for each workshop, different flowers, different application. So we'll have the same process for each of these retreats, just different country, different flower destination.
Wow.
So when we were in Ireland, we picked everyone up on a bus, on a coach together in Dublin. They had a top secret shared location where they met us. We brought them to explore the Irish countryside, have lunch in an
Wow.
old Irish pub, and then we brought them to a castle where we had for 3 days just for us.
Wow.
And we had workshops and galas and lunches and incredible time just experiencing this luxury property all to ourselves and having the flowers and the photographers together. It was amazing.
Wow.
So then when we moved on to our next one, which is this year for the Netherlands, it was such a successful event. We knew we wanted to mirror the process. So
Hmm.
this year in November, we have 20 florists from all over the world that are joining me in the Netherlands. They will meet me in Amsterdam at a top secret location, only shared to them. Then we will pick them up on a coach. We are taking them to tour an architectural wonder in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Then we are taking them to a flower farm, in fact, a flower breeding farm, which is even
Oh,
cooler,
wow.
to see
Wow.
how the flowers really come from the beginning, how the
Yes.
thought process happens in building a new breed, and
Yes.
then being able to work hands on with these incredible blooms during the
Wow.
workshop. Then we take everyone back over to our private estate. We have booked out the entire Flora Batava, which had previously, I think it was built in the 1700s, and it was built by a woman to study, you know, botanical, the science behind the botanical world. It is such a good history. It has been reformed into this luxury hotel retreat area. So we have that to ourselves. So the attendees will go back there. They'll have formal dinners with their fellow florists and planners and photographers.
Wow.
Then they will have time together to explore, time together for more workshops. And then our final day, we go back out and we really dive into the culture. So you get to know the people.
Hmm.
You see the things that make Holland, that make the Netherlands what they truly are before we return them all together to our top secret location. So it's 3 days that are just incredible.
Wow. 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 That's like a dream. That is an
Oh, it is
absolute
such a
dream.
dream. It was
Wow.
funny when I chose the location. Jordan, who is again, she was with me on Big Flower Fight, but she's not a flower person. She said, she's like, is anyone gonna want to go to the Netherlands? Like, who goes there? And I'm like, you don't understand.
You're like,
This
wait
is
a minute.
this is the dream place for florists. Like,
Yeah.
this is the flower destination.
Wow.
Everyone's gonna want to go there.
Oh, yeah. You were like 33 minutes, told you.
I told you.
So it sounds to me like, yet again, you have listened to the folks in your industry. You've listened the entire time as we've been talking, and you've shifted your business to reflect the changes that you see that is either a need or want within the florist community. That's incredible. That is an amazing talent that you have, that ability to not only connect, but to listen and build things that help people as they grow. So,
Thank you.
wow, wow. So, what excites you? What excites you today? I would
Oh,
say,
besides flowers, I think we can all know flowers excite me.
yeah.
Oh, I think there are two things. First thing is my granddaughter. She excites me. She
Mm.
is the most fun in the entire world. Anyone out
Mm,
there listening, if you are
mm.
raising children is fun of its own kind, but it's also so much work.
Yeah,
The real reward in life was you get to be a grandma
yeah,
because It is so cool. You just get to do the fun parts. And
Yes.
then when you are doing the challenging parts, it's because you're helping your child. Like,
Yes.
which is feels so amazing. So that is what probably excites me the most. I'm
Mm.
obsessed with my granddaughter.
How old is she?
Um, she just turned 3,
Okay. Okay. So
and
age of wonder and discovery. Mm.
oh, she's wonderful, wonderful. And then as far as business, what really excites me is when I see floral designers come through the intrigue community and build businesses that go far above and beyond even what I build. When I see that I can be part of that journey of these designers, it's really just a thought process shift, a directional shift, and watching that happen is incredible. I can think of so many right off the top of my head. There's Jennifer in New York. There's Heather in Texas. There's another Jennifer down in Florida. There's Coco and JoJo in Palm Beach. There's Melissa in LA. Like all over, just incredible, incredible. Amy in Dallas.
Yeah.
Incredible designers that have done some amazing things, and we still stay connected because I'm watching the students. I'm watching how they grow, how they thrive.
And you get to watch and you get to say, "Hey, good job." There's something about those students who really rise and really take off with everything, and you're still their cheerleader in the background, being like, "Hey, great job." And I hear that from you.
Absolutely.
I totally
Absolutely.
hear that from you, 100%. What are some of the things in the floral industry that you think that we get right all the time?
Oh, what do we get right in the floral industry? Our hustle. Like, you cannot be in the floral industry unless you have some hustle because we got to schlep buckets and
Oh,
boxes and bags of compost and trash. Like, we are hard workers.
yeah.
We may love what we do, but I think we outwork most industries.
I agree with that 100%. 100%. Well, my hat goes off to planners and everything that they do in the entire process because they have all of the things and they're moving all of the pieces. I feel like us in catering, we're the
Oh,
ones
yeah.
who we're just running. We're
Yeah,
just
catering,
running.
actually, I take it back. Catering's harder than us.
Yeah.
Catering's doing everything we're doing, plus they're client front and center. Like once the
Yes.
event starts, we go home, put our heads down.
Yes.
They don't.
No.
So yeah, caterers have it harder.
Yeah, they are. Whew, they are the ultimate hustle.
They're the ultimate hustle. I will give that to them.
The
I
ultimate
could not
hustle.
do that one.
What is one thing in the industry that you think we need to improve on?
Hmm. I think clarity on our pricing is one thing that we could really improve on. I think it is so difficult for clients shopping for a florist because they don't know how much it's going to cost. And I don't really have a great answer to how we improve on this because it is such a moving target. Flower pricing is adjusting all the time.
And
But
it's
I think,
regional as well, I think, too.
yeah, somewhat, having worked all over the United States, it's not a big difference. Um,
That's
it's
refreshing.
a it's a little bit cheaper internationally, I think. But in the US, it's fairly similar all across the country. So,
Interesting.
but yeah, I think we could get better on being clear on pricing.
Hmm.
But I need someone else to figure that out because I haven't.
I think that's consistent across the board. I mean, that's something that we struggle with. How do you make the changes? And even for us, things I'm looking outside, things that come in from the field. Zinnias, for instance, they come in, I plant the seed, I grow the plant, and I can cut that zinnia multiple times, just like the cosmos you have there. They just keep producing. But if I'm looking at a snapdragon, I get one really good stem and maybe a couple other smaller side shoot stems. That's two
Mhm.
different pricing structures. And then you
Yes.
take into account all of the labor and the seed and the maintenance and upkeep and all of that stuff. And that all gets sandwiched into it. And that's from a farmer perspective. Then you add in wholesale. I mean, we work with wholesale as well because there are events that people ask, "Hey, I need calla lilies." Okay, mine
Mhm.
are this big and not ready yet. I'm going to special order that for you. And that's part of the game and trying to put it all together, but that pricing where you're constantly tweaking it, you're constant. And then you've got shortages and things that are shorted and, crop fail, like it's hard. Pricing
It is
is a
hard.
consistent, that is consistent across the board, I think. On a
And
farmer's
you've got to
market
be able
bundle,
to
I'm sorry, go ahead.
is you got to be able to dodge and weave. Like if something doesn't come in right, you've got to be able to still show up and make the event, even without that flower that you were hoping for.
100%, 100%. And that's even down to greens. I feel like there's been times where we've needed ruscus very specifically for a look, and suddenly we don't have it. And we're like, okay, we're going to pivot and we're going to do this, this, and this instead. But yikes,
There's
yikes,
always,
yikes, yikes.
gosh, this reminds me of a wedding. It was in Easton, Maryland. This wedding had to be 10 years ago. And I had 12 bags of Smilax that were supposed to be coming in.
Mm.
And at that time, I always used the same Smilax guy. He was so great, but he was text message. And I would just text him and he would ship it to me. I'd text him and ship it to me. He forgot to ship me the 12 bags. And we found out on, like, I think I checked with him on Thursday, and of course he's out in the field doing his farm stuff, and he reached back out to me in the evening. He's like, oh my gosh, Sarah, I actually forgot to ship them, and I don't have any left to ship to you. Like, I've sold everything this week. So I called my gardener, and I was like, so I need you to go to my house, and I need you to just decimate the bushes, because we had these bushes that lined the entire side of one of the acres. So I had a full acre long of these bushes. I don't remember what kind they were, but he clipped them down. They are still, like, a decade later, they're still
They're
not in the
still like hurt.
but I had to do something. Like I
Yeah.
had to, 24 hours, come up with enough to cover our chandeliers and to cover an entire stage backdrop, which takes a ton of product.
Yeah.
So we dodge and weave.
It's that flexibility. It's absolutely that flexibility. Okay. So I feel like I could talk to you for another like 3 hours, but thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very much for taking the time to chat with me today. If there are two questions left, first one would be, if there was one message that you wanted all of the people to hear who have either worked with you or plan to work with you or just watch you and are in awe, what would your message be to florists?
Put your mind in the right place. When you go into anything, if you're coming to a workshop or you're learning something new, as you step in, get that mindset of, I'm going to absorb, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to implement everything I've learned once I come back home. That is the biggest thing. If you show up in the right mindset, you are going to grow more than anyone else.
That's so very true. Very, very, very true. I think that would probably fit for your workshop groups too. I would think
Absolutely.
your workshop groups, you want them to have that similar perspective. Awesome. 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 Well, if anybody has not heard of you or they don't know where to find you, will you tell me so that I can share that with all of my podcast listeners here about where they can find you and how they can connect with you?
Sure, I'm pretty easy to find. You can find me on Instagram over at Intrigue Teaches or Intrigue_Designs, which is my wedding design page. Or, of course, you can find me on Netflix. And, well, or just Google. AI should know my name by now,
Yeah, they should
hopefully.
find you. They can find you in all the connections and all of the places.
Well, this is wonderful, and I'm so happy to
Thank
talk to
you.
someone who's almost a neighbor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your crazy, awesome schedule to chat a little bit about flowers.